You're welcome to Chidana's Auto Channel, where you learn driving tips and get information and knowledge concerning your vehicle. Today, we're going to talk about drive systems or drivetrain, which basically, in a layman's language, what makes up the components that pulls your vehicle or drives your vehicle. And in this drivetrain or drive system, we have about 4 basic modes of it, which is front wheel drive, back wheel drive. We also have the all wheel drive. We have the 4-wheel drive, and then in the 4-wheel drive we have part-time 4-wheel drive and then full-time 4-wheel drive. And we also have 4x4 4-wheel drive squared. Those are the basic drive system we have. But today I'm going to talk about majorly the front wheel drive and the back wheel drive. I want to start with the front wheel drive. If you look at this diagram, this is the engine, this is the gearbox, these are the driving shafts, and these are the tires. This is an example of a front wheel drive vehicle. Some of the time the engine may not be diagonal this way, it can still be this way, but it's still a front wheel drive as long as the driving shaft is attached to the gearbox and they are in the front, which means the front tires pull this vehicle, the back tires are free. This is what you have in quite a number of vehicles, especially Japanese vehicles, even some transport vehicles. But basically a lot of Japanese vehicles use front wheel drive. And if you're driving a car and you don't know the drive system your vehicle is using, you can actually check your engine. The engine design would help you to know, or you can as well ask your mechanic. Another option is for you to look under the front tires to see if there's any shaft from the gearbox through the engine and then across the wheels. That's one of the ways to know. Now, what are the basic characteristics of these front wheel drive vehicles? Often they are lighter, and then they drive better on muddy roads. They also take off faster, and then most of them are good with fuel consumption, because most front wheel drive vehicles do not have large engines attached to them because of the way the engines are designed. Most front wheel drive vehicles, the maximum you can get there is 3.5 liter engine, which normally comes in a V6. But the truth is they are often lighter, and as I mentioned, those are the things that goes with front wheel drive vehicle. Some of the disadvantages that goes with front wheel drive vehicles is that the front tires wear faster. Why is it so? Because both the driving shaft and the steering wheel, steering rods or control is attached to these front tires. So the front tire does two things. It steers the vehicle and then it drives the vehicle. So these two things causes the front tires to wear off faster. The back tires are often very free. And then it's normally these front wheel drive vehicles where you have your shaft making noise. When you turn, you'll be hearing some kaka noise. It's normally in front wheel drive vehicles that you experience that. So it means that at that point you have to go to your mechanic to work on that.
Your shaft needs to be worked
your steering system that's making that noise. Then when you talk of back wheel drive vehicles, as you can see from this picture, the layout is a bit different from the front wheel drive vehicles. See, this is the engine and this is the gearbox. There is no front wheel shaft here, so the engine is basically free from any shaft that is attached to the front tires. Instead, through the gearbox, it's connected to a propeller. The propeller, goes back to this rear differential, which is connected to the rear shaft or axle shaft, as you can see here, and then connected to the tires. So what it means is that power moves from the engine to the back tires, which will push the vehicle, unlike the front wheel drive that power goes from the engine to the front tires that pull the vehicle. Now, what are some of the advantages you get if you're driving a back wheel drive vehicle? They are normally better in terms of handling. They have a better balanced weight, and then the tires often wear evenly better than the front wheel drive. Why? In this case, the front tires basically steers the vehicle. They are not associated with moving the vehicle. It's the rear tires that actually pull the vehicle, push the vehicle. So in this case, the wearing of the tires is a bit even. Now, when you look at this, for vehicles that have back wheel drive system, you have that a lot in Mercedes, you have that in BMW, you also have that in Toyota vehicles or pickups or big trucks. Most of them are back wheel drive, and the advantage of back wheel drive vehicles is they are often better equipped to carry weight, though depending on the balancing system that is used at the back. For vehicles that are allowed or that you're allowed to carry weight, like pickups, they don't use most of them don't use coil spring like you see in Mercedes products, which are basically not meant for load. Let's say Mercedes sedans, they are back wheel drive, but because they are not designed to carry load, they normally use flexible rear axle system, whereas trucks use tube, which is designed to carry weight, and quite a number of them use flat spring, though some still use coil spring, but they have a way to adjust to make it possible for them to carry those weights based on their shock absorber system. But basically, trucks, Mercedes, BMW, most of them use back wheel drive. Now, when it comes to fuel consumption, the front wheel drive vehicles do much better than back wheel drive vehicles. But what they have started doing now for most vehicles that are back wheel drive, in order to reduce fuel consumption or to make it a bit apart with front wheel drive vehicles, because generally back wheel drive vehicles are heavier. If you look at this drawing, you see that there are much more components than what you have here. Because of that, a vehicle with a back wheel drive will be heavy compared to the front wheel drive. And if for any reason you put a 1.8 liter engine here and put a 1.8 liter engine here, and maybe give the two of them 5-speed forward gears, you see that the fuel consumption of the two, this will have much more better fuel consumption. But now, in order to help fuel consumption when it comes to rear axle or rear wheel drive vehicles, they normally increase the forward gears. An instance is that a 2003 Toyota Corolla, for instance, that is a front wheel drive, uses 5 forward gears, whereas a Mercedes Benz vehicle that is a rear wheel drive of that same year uses 6 forward speed gears. Why is it necessary? It makes it that the higher the forward gears, the lesser the engine turns at a certain acceleration, and then the more speed the vehicle makes. So in a Toyota Corolla, for instance, if your tachometer is at 3 and then you at gear 5 on the highway, you see that you'll be making between 100 and 120. Whereas for a Mercedes-Benz vehicle of the same engine capacity, but with 6 forward gears, on the highway, it will be making above 120 with that same acceleration. So you will see that it will move faster with almost the same amount of fuel the Corolla is using, because it has higher number of forward gears. In your own case, if you don't know what your vehicle is, as I said earlier, ask. But if you're intending to buy a vehicle, if you're interested in better fuel consumption, and you're not interested in maybe better handling and all these other ones, then you can go for a front wheel drive. But if you're intending to go for a back wheel drive vehicle, confirm how many forward gears it has, because if for any reason it has the same amount of forward gears with a front wheel drive vehicle of the same engine size, definitely the person driving the front wheel drive with the same engine size will have better fuel consumption than your vehicle. So these are the first two types of drive system I'll talk about. There are the other ones which are much more complex than this. Basically, these are the two key first drive system that is available and is very, very common in a lot of vehicles. The other ones that are all-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, full-time four-wheel drive, and then all the rest, they are not so common. You see them more in SUVs, and some of them are also in cars, but what you have in cars is all-wheel drive. You can see that in Mercedes, you can see that in Toyota, you can see that in other vehicles. So in my next video, I'm going to talk about the all-wheel drive system, and I'm also going to talk about the four-wheel drive system. So if you have any comments, and if you benefited from this, kindly comment or like, and also subscribe to the channel so that when I make the other videos, you will know, and then that will help you to understand your vehicle, and then it will also help you to make a choice of the vehicle you're going to buy if you intend to get another vehicle. Thank you for watching. See you on my next video.